welcome back to another episode of the PC Boys podcast. I am your host, Logan Locke. So, it has been quite a while since I've done a podcast. Last time that I did a podcast, we broke down the Venom, The Last Dance trailer, kind of talked about what's going on there. However, we have more pressing matters coming up. Of course, Deadpool and Wolverine coming out on July 26th. Well, now it's about 24 days away from the movie's release, at least here in the US. And we're going to kind of just cover some of the theories and stuff, leaks that are going on right now, some rumors. As well as talking about just the MCU as a whole, Spider-Man 4 being a congested mess, Blade especially, and just kind of going through that, giving my, thoughts on the whole ordeal. Any of you that are subscribed to my Rumble probably noticed 2 weekends ago I went live on Rumble because there was a, weather threat to my local area, so I wanted to cover that and stuff. So I might do some more weather-related content depending on what the weather looks like in my own area, but if you guys want to see me do, like, weather broadcasts and stuff like that, or talk about it, then, let me know in the comments below, and that, of course, would be over on Rumble, because my Rumble channel is anything from politics, society, weather. It literally is for anything else but what I'm doing here on YouTube, because this is all strictly on YouTube entertainment, so movies, video games, and stuff. I do also want to say, for, Doom the Dark Ages, it looks great. The trailer was awesome. It's a prequel game to Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, and that's really all that we have on that game. I was going to do a video kind of breaking down the trailer, but at this point, it's like, we don't really know any more information. Sure, we saw some guns. The gameplay looks good. The design looks cool. The setting, obviously. But until we get closer to the game's release and we get more information, I'll talk about that game more. Black Ops 6, we're going to, start talking about that more because obviously, we're going to get Call of Duty next and some more information over the summer. So there will be things to talk about on the Call of Duty front. But movie-wise, things have been pretty slow, relatively, outside of Venom. Obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine, have kind of slowed down a little bit in terms of, like, significant things popping up. But when it comes down to Marvel in general, there has been quite a few things going on. My schedule's just been kind of hectic. And I, of course, do podcasting as a hobby. This is not a job. I don't make income from this, so I kind of get around to it when I can. I love podcasting. It's just having the time to sit down and actually go through all this information, which seems to be the issue and has been even when I was in school, because I'm working 2 jobs now. But we are here. We're going to get into everything. So the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to Deadpool and Wolverine is Wolverine versus the Hulk. So I reposted this on my Twitter or my X, and apparently there was like some early screenings or whatnot of like this, I guess you could say, clip reel or film reel of Deadpool and Wolverine, and at the very end of it there was a small snippet of the Hulk and Wolverine charging at each other. Now, way early on when we were, getting into Deadpool and Wolverine and starting to get, like, our first looks and stuff like that, a lot of people were saying we're probably going to see the Hulk in here. There was, Sean Levy, the director, I believe, tweeted out a picture of, Ryan Reynolds, Mark Ruffalo, the actor who plays the Hulk, and Hugh Jackman all together with, like, their little stickers or something on a cooler and whatnot. So there was, like, very early on indications that they were going to be doing the Wolverine vs. Hulk thing. And for those of you that don't read the comics, in the comics, Wolverine was essentially, sent to kill the Hulk, and the Hulk and Wolverine duked it out. And obviously, with both of their healing factors and whatnot, it's a very, interesting fight to watch. So I'm very interested to see exactly what happens and where we go from here. But yeah, so Hulk versus Wolverine, if this does happen actually in the movie, this would be great. I think it would drive a lot of hype for the movie, and especially after the first weekend of the film, or even the first week of the film, you could start interjecting the Hulk into TV spots, which would drive up, I think, people to go watch the movie, especially comic book fans that, have been wanting to see this match. So some other things here on the list as well of what's supposed to be in the movie. It's going to be very violent and funny with a great soundtrack and some emotional scenes. I think we all can agree that that is going to happen. Regardless, although that's, pretty broad thing. I think that's, something that everybody could have guessed that, oh yeah, there's going to be emotional moments, it's going to be violent, it's going to be funny. Like, that's Deadpool. It always has been. Even Logan, minus the funniness. Logan was quite a serious movie. But it was a very good movie. It was a very good film. It has a very violent connection to the ending of the film Logan. What does that fucking mean? I have no idea. The way that it's worded makes it sound like it's going to have some connection or resemblance to Logan. I don't know what the fuck that means, though. That could mean a lot. Unless they're talking about, like, the end fight scene in which, like, you know, all the, you know, soldiers got brutally massacred in the forest. I mean, unless they're talking about that, I don't know what the hell that could mean. The way that it's worded is very weird. Many variants of Logan will appear, including a zombie version. That's also interesting because we do have a Marvel, Disney Plus Marvel Zombies show coming out that's going to be rated R. So I wonder if this is going to be, if this version of Logan will be intertwined in that at all from Marvel Animation. So we'll have to wait and see if that ends up being the case. But I think that that's very interesting. And the fact that they know that there will be a zombie version in particular, I think is, you know, makes that a very important detail. So there might be some future implications of that. And knowing that there's a Marvel Zombies TV series coming that is rated R, and yes, it will be animated, they could incorporate this version of Logan in there somehow. Lots of jokes about Disney and Fox. Expected that. Lots of cameos. We're all expecting that as well. And then it says, it looks like the scenes that we saw in the trailer are from only the first 40 minutes of the film. Which, if that's the case, that's great. Because movie trailers these days tend to show the ending of the movie way too often, giving away too much of the plot. And basically makes it pointless to watch the movie. So I'm glad, if that turns out to be true, that this is all, like, everything we've seen is from the first 40 minutes. I also want to talk about Sabretooth. So recently, they came out with a TV spot. At the very end of the TV spot, Sabretooth and Wolverine end up having a rematch and a face-off. And of course, you know, it had the, you know, quippy jokiness, you know, from Ryan Reynolds, you know, doing his Deadpool to Wolverine conversating. And it is Tyler Mane's Sabretooth, from the original. And in earlier trailers, they had this same scene, but they disguised who the person was that Wolverine was looking at. So, obviously, Marvel doing their normal trickery in the trailers to try to mislead people, which I think is, you know, pretty smart on them, the fact that they do continue to do that. So that's kind of the first major thing. So we have some, of course, screenshots here from Deadpool and Wolverine as well. Of course, here we have Wolverine in the TVA. I don't know if this is before or after he gets kind of like knocked out or whatnot. Here we have, of course, Cassandra Nova. Back here we have the girl with the, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't remember the name of this mutant, but basically the one from X-Men 2 that has, like, the long fingernails and stuff that fights Wolverine. She's there. This girl, I believe, is from X-Men, either 2 or 3, I think, that Magneto goes to recruit. But yeah, so this is Cassandra Nova. Obviously, for those of you that don't know, this is the twin sister of Charles Xavier, the evil twin sister of Charles Xavier. I decided to kind of throw this on my Twitter feed as well in relation to Deadpool and Wolverine. Apparently Call of Duty is going to be having some kind of, like, crossover with them. So I don't know what that's going to look like, but I figured I'd throw that in there because it'd be a little funny. And the last major, like, newer picture that we got was the Avengers flag, except it has an anarchist logo over it. And I think Ryan Reynolds actually took a picture of himself on his social media wearing a hat with the anarchist logo. And then, of course, we're hearing that Blake Lively is supposed to be playing Lady Deadpool. Of course, there's a lot of reports coming out now talking about the fact that Daphne Keane is confirmed as X-23, that Channing Tatum will be in the movie as Gambit, you know, part of the Resistance Force and whatnot. So it is very interesting to kind of see all of these different cameos and things at play. And I even heard that Charles Xavier, played by Patrick Stewart, was also supposed to be in the movie as well. So there's a lot of different things going on right now. And, you know, I can't confirm or deny at all that any of these things are true, right? I cannot confirm or deny any of this stuff. I don't have inside sources. In the past, when I've been right about things, it just happens to be really good guesswork, or taking all of the things that people are saying and kind of judging what is most probable. But the major thing about this movie is we still don't know the plot. Really, we don't know the plot of this movie. Like, with everything they've shown to us, we still don't know much about the movie outside of it being a multiversal adventure. And that's it. With Deadpool and Wolverine. That's all that we know. We still don't understand the TVA's role. Sorry, I'm gonna mute my phone really quick, because that's gonna get very, very annoying. But yeah, so we don't know the TVA's role still. We don't know who the main villain, well, Cassandra Nova is, but we don't know, like, her main goal as to, like, what she's doing and why she has all these mutants in, like, an army, you know, where they are in the void. So there's still a lot of things that we don't know, right? And that makes it more interesting. It makes me more excited to see where they're going to go with everything. And it's even hard for me to come up with a theory of my own as to what I think's going to happen, because if everything we've been seeing in the trailers is only the first 40 minutes, it's going to be very hard to actually dictate a direction as to where the movie's going to go outside of, for some reason, Cassandra Nova is a huge threat, and that's why they need to be taken out. But Deadpool's also killing the TVA, and why is that the case? So yeah, there's a lot to this movie that's still up in the air. But I think reviewing this movie is going to be absolutely fun, from the plot to the character development to the cameos and all of these things. I think that this movie is going to be a very fun one to review. I haven't done many reviews. I haven't done a review in a while, I actually think. I think I did a brief review of Godzilla X Kong, but that you know, I didn't really do a full-on, like, podcast review of that, so it's going to be very interesting to see how all that plays out. But yeah, no, I'm very intrigued to see everything play out. It's just so hard to actually figure out where they're going to go with it. So, that's all I have on Deadpool and Wolverine. You know, these are the looks that we got. Of course, the Hulk versus Wolverine thing, I think it will happen. I think it'd be a huge missed opportunity if they didn't do that. So I 100% do think that that's going to happen. I don't have any evidence that that's going to happen, but it would make sense logically with a movie like this, where you have all this possibility and cameos and appearances. Why not do it, even if it's a brief thing? But yeah, so that's the other thing too. If they, you know, if this does become a reality, how long will that fight be? That's the other factor that kind of gets thrown up in the air at that point of, like, where do they go? What do they do? So now let's kind of move on to the rest of Marvel and what's going on. So let's talk about, you know, Daredevil. So the only little update that we have on Daredevil is the fact that, you know, it will have a little bit of a connection to Spider-Man, a lot less than we initially anticipated. But there will be some, you know, connections to Spider-Man. It's just not going to be as big. That's really the only Daredevil news that we really have, you know, picked up. We also heard that they're splitting up, like, the original, like, 18 episodes into, like, 2 parts. And they're both supposed to happen, I guess, before Spider-Man 4. Which, as of right now, I think is projected to release in 2026, if I'm correct. So I think that that's, like, Marvel's main plan is, like, split Daredevil up into, like, 2 parts. But we'll have to wait and see. As we get closer, we'll obviously have more concrete information, but I believe that that's the plan right now. You know, Spider-Man 4 is in and of itself in a lot of, limbo, because based upon everything that I'm reading, it sounds like to me that Sony and Marvel are doing this 50-50 ground level multiversal shenanigans bullshit. The ground level stuff I'm very excited for. That's the stuff I want. You know, Kingpin, Daredevil, Spider-Man. Kingpin, we know in Daredevil Born Again is going to be hiring or creating a vigilante task force. Hence why you have cops dressed up as the Punisher and committing crimes or murders or whatever, looking like the Punisher. So he's going to have this task force that goes specifically after superheroes. And it would not shock me if the Kingpin sent somebody like Matt Gargan the Scorpion after Spider-Man to kill him. So I'm not very surprised if they go that route. And I think they should go that route, because when you're talking about you know, Matt Gargan, when you're talking about the fact that his character was set up all the way back in Spider-Man Homecoming and there's been no payoff to it or even follow-up to his character ever since is very disheartening. And I really hope that he is like the next major Spider-Man villain we get, of course, as of Kingpin. And there's still a lot of reports about Venom or the symbiote appearing at some point in the movie, probably to save Spider-Man when he dies. There's a lot of talks about Miles Morales being introduced in this movie, but we also know that Sony is working on their own Miles Morales movie, live action wise. So there's a lot of things going on right now that's kind of up in the air. Spider-Man 4 is a very hard movie to talk about because of all the issues behind it. Just even on the plot premise of where they want to take the character. That in and of itself is very hard to track. And it's made talking about it a living hell. But beyond Spider-Man, let's talk about Blade. Blade is probably either canceled or indefinitely delayed by like years. And I want to put this in perspective. Blade, if I'm correct, was announced back in 2019. We are in 2024. That's 5 years, guys. And Blade is still yet to come out. And it baffles me that Marvel, okay, can make something like She-Hulk, Agatha Coven of Chaos, or Agatha All Along, whatever the fuck the name of that show is, but they can't make something as simple as Blade. Blade is one of the easiest characters you can do. Blade kills vampires and monsters. Not a very hard movie to sell. And by the sounds of it, Mahershala Ali is going to be taking on some other projects, which I don't blame him, because they've gone through director after director and even actors for Blade, and Blade just isn't getting off the ground. The only reason Marvel's doing Blade is because Mahershala Ali essentially pitched them the idea. So, it's really upsetting to me that Blade is in basically development hell. And it baffles me that Blade, of all the Marvel projects that have ever been done, is the one that's in, development hell. Like, something like Moon Knight, I feel like, would have been harder to get off the ground than fucking Blade. Blade is an easy thing to do. They were semi-successful with Blade way back in the early 2000s, 90s, 2000s. I think that's when those movies came out, at least the first two. And it's like, they could make a few good movies way back then, before an MCU or a big established universe. And you're telling me you can't make Blade, one of the easiest characters to write. It baffles me, and it honestly bothers me. At this point, just don't do Blade. It's been 5 years, you can't seem to hold down a director, and everything is just, with the movie, it's just been development hell. I would just quit. Just stop Blade. Just cancel it. Move on. Is it sad? Yes. But it's like we're never going to get it at this rate. So I don't know why we're wasting time and resources trying to get Blade off the ground. Marvel just can't do simple, I guess. It really bothers me. I mean, Marvel's been having a lot of problems lately just trying to write projects. I mean, Captain America 4, that's another project, right, we got to talk about. Captain America 4 has probably cost Marvel at this point, with the amount of reshoots and rewrites that they've done, $250-300 million. This has to be one of the most, I would argue, one of the most expensive Marvel Studios projects ever. Yes, even over the Avengers movies. Because with the amount of reshoots, rewrites that they've had to do for Captain America 4, there's no fucking way that this movie... I'll be very shocked if this movie's good. I have no hope for Captain America, The Brave and the Bold, or Brave New World, whatever the fuck the name of that movie is. Like, I don't care. I really don't care at this point, right? And it has nothing to do with Sam Wilson, right? As Captain America. I know that there are some people out there that are like, oh, I don't like Sam Wilson's Captain America. I don't mind Sam Wilson's Captain America. I mean, sure, Captain America by default is not one of my favorite comic book characters, which would not really put Sam's Captain America high up there comic book-wise speaking, but I love his MCU incarnation, and Anthony Mackie does a great job. And the Captain America franchise is my favorite, actually, out of the MCU. Like, out of all the solo movies and the trilogies, Captain America is my favorite. The first Iron Man was solid. I didn't really care for the other two Iron Man films. But Captain America was solid. And all of his movies I enjoyed. I enjoyed the first one. I enjoyed the second one. The second one's my favorite MCU movie, The Winter Soldier. And Civil War was a very solid movie as well. Spider-Man is actually one of my least favorite MCU trilogies out there. Because, Homecoming was a decent movie. No Way Home was fun, but it wasn't original. And I fucking hate Far From Home. It's one of my most hated MCU movies. Out of the Infinity Saga. But taking a look at just the amount of shit that even Captain America 4 is going through, it's like, I don't see that movie turning out to be good. And if it does, I mean, that'll be great. That'll be fantastic. I would love to have every Captain America movie continue to be a solid film, but it's very hard for me to have faith in something like Captain America 4 when there's all these reshoots and it's taking them forever and they got to do these reshoots are normal, but they have to do rewrites as well. So there's a lot of moving parts with that project that I just don't have confidence in, or it does not instill me with confidence that it's going to be very good. And ultimately, all I can sit here and do is hope and pray that we're going to get something good. So other projects, Agatha, don't really care about it. I might watch it on Disney Plus. Probably not going to review it. Unless it happens to blow me away. I don't see myself reviewing that show. This November, we're getting Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I think that's the name of it, from Marvel Animation. And that that series was announced also a while back. It was originally Spider-Man Freshman Year, but they retitled it. They originally were going to make it like a prequel somehow in the MCU, and then they went back on that and said, no, this is going to be a multiversal adventure with a different Peter Parker, so I'm fine with that. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what they do with that as well. I am excited for that animated project. Obviously, it's Spider-Man, so of course I'm going to be excited. And Charlie Cox will be playing Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, in that Spider-Man animated series, as well as Vincent D'Onofrio reprising his role as Kingpin in that series, I believe, as well. So it's very interesting. But the whole reason that series was getting delayed and stuff like that is not because it was going to get canned. It's actually because they were going through the process of creating Marvel Animation and separating it from Marvel Studios and Marvel Entertainment. So that's the whole reason that had like a weird stint going on there. I haven't heard anything new on Kraven, and that's supposed to release this December. I haven't heard anything new on Beyond the Spider-Verse. So there are some question marks still in the Marvel realm, rather that's Sony Marvel or Marvel Studios Marvel, as to what's happening. All that I know right now is Agatha comes out this month, I believe, sometime this month. Spider-Man comes out, or the animated Spider-Man series comes out in November, I think. And then next year, we have Daredevil Born Again, which is my most anticipated project. And I think the Thunderbolts actually comes out next year, too, if I'm correct. That one's up in the air for me. So, with the Thunderbolts, first of all, I don't even know who's on the team still. Like, Yelena's a given, Bucky's a given, Red Guardian's a given. But outside of those three, I don't know. Like, is Ghost still in the movie? Is Taskmaster still in the movie? Like, I don't know who else is actually still in the film. I will not lie. If they're going to bring Taskmaster back, please, for the love of fucking Lord, bring in Tony Masters. Black Widow is a good movie, in my opinion. Some people don't really care for it. I think it's a good movie. But Taskmaster and what they did to my boy, I will never forgive Marvel Studios for until they right their wrongs. Because they fucked up Taskmaster so bad. Taskmaster is my favorite Marvel villain from the comics. There is nothing special about him outside of he can mimic people's fight styles. Okay? He is not, like, there's nothing special about his character. He basically just trains all the henchmen of the Marvel Universe. But I've always admired the fact that he can keep up with the Avengers as a normal human being by just mimicking their fight styles. On top of that, I like his outfit. I know in the comics, it is goofy looking as fuck. It's goofy. But I've always liked it. I've always liked the look of Taskmaster. Even as goofy as he was. But yeah, if they're gonna keep Taskmaster in the Thunderbolts, please let it be Tony Masters. Okay? Please. Leave Antonia fucking, Dracov's daughter. Leave her the fuck out of it. Please. If you bring her back, I'm gonna rip my fucking hair out. That might ruin the Thunderbolts for me. Just them continuing to fucking character assassinate Taskmaster. Now, most people don't give a fuck about Taskmaster, probably don't even know who the fuck he is, okay? That's how much of a small-time villain he is in the series. But let me tell you something, okay? I love Taskmaster, and I'll die on that fucking hill. It's kind of like, who the fuck's one of the other more recent Marvel villains that they had that nobody really gave a fuck about? Damn it, I can't fucking remember their name. But essentially, it'd be the same situation. Like, I'm also guilty of that if there's a character they make changes to that I personally don't care about that's obscure. Like Orwell Taylor, for instance, in Venom, right? Orwell Taylor in Venom. Venom killed Orwell's son. He was a white dude. They changed him to a black guy. I don't care. Like, Orwell Taylor is such a minor Marvel character in the comics. He does not matter. Taskmaster appears all over Marvel Comics, and although, yeah, he's basically just a glorified henchman trainer that can mimic people's fight styles, I still have respect for that guy. And he appears all over Marvel, like I said. Like, he actually is important to the universe, outside of just a few storylines. So yeah, Taskmaster, always gonna be on his side. I am excited for the Thunderbolts, but if they don't actually make Taskmaster Tony Masters, I'm going to lose my fucking mind with that film. But yeah, that's really all I have to talk about Marvel-wise. I know a little bit of rant there at the end with Taskmaster. I mean, I gotta defend my boy, you know. And I know some people are gonna say, how is he your favorite villain, even though you're a Spider-Man fan that has a lot of great villains? I don't know. I don't even have a good defense for it. I just like the way that Taskmaster looks. He did have a very good comic run in Taskmaster Unthinkable, which I think came out in 2010, where essentially this version of Taskmaster is like the other Taskmaster. You know, he can mimic people's fight styles, but every time he does, he gets amnesia and just forgets who the fuck he is, and everything about his life. So that whole storyline revolved around basically the Org, who's his wife, sending the henchmen he's trained after him. And he goes on this journey and remembers who his wife is, who he is, and then at the very end, he has to fight this guy, and in order to beat him, he has to mimic his fight styles, and then he kind of just forgets who he is, who his wife is, and he just runs off. And you're basically back where the fucking series started. It was a very tragic, sad storyline, but I really enjoyed Taskmaster Unthinkable. And I think, like, that's the actual storyline that got me really on the Taskmaster train, because it made him more relatable. They gave him a little bit more to do. Than just be a thorn in the Avengers side or Spider-Man's side or whoever the fuck's comic side he's in. So yeah, you know, I do like Taskmaster. And yes, there are many better villains than him in Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery, like Green Goblin especially, fucking maniac. But I've always liked Taskmaster. He's always been my favorite Marvel villain. Just the way that his outfit is, based upon his personality. He's also like one of those witty, characters. He likes to just crack jokes and stuff as he's fighting people. So it is pretty cool. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. I hope you all enjoyed. If any of you guys are interested in hearing about me talk about the presidential debate that took place, go follow the Rumble channel. I do plan on doing a live stream going through the debate. And I think for Rumble, from now on, I think I'm going to do live streams on Rumble as opposed to videos like I do here on YouTube, just because I think, you know, it would be easier of a format for me to just react to stuff on Rumble and talk about stuff on Rumble. But yeah, so if you guys are interested in anything like that, go to Rumble. Whether that's weather coverage, politics, society stuff, or if you just want to hear me talk about literally anything else in movies and video games, go follow the Rumble. If not, like the video, subscribe, or, you know, dislike the video and say that I'm a big, you know, poopy stinky or whatever. Say whatever you want. I don't care, right? I do this as a hobby. Like, if you don't like it, be honest. If you do like it, then like it. It is what it is. Or you could say that I'm boring as fuck. That one would be hurtful. That'd be a good one. If you really want to hit me where it is, just say that. But yeah, no. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you all enjoyed. And yes, we will be talking about Twister when I watch it, when I do my movie review, and same thing with Deadpool and Wolverine. But see you all in the next one. Take care.